What is up, guys, and welcome into another episode of the Ain't It Funky podcast. My guest today is Ash Powell. Ash is the drummer for the UK's leading Luke Combs tribute, The Luke Combs Experience. He also tours with the Classic Rock Revival Show and is very passionate about teaching. In our conversation, we spoke about how he came to be the drummer for the Luke Combs Experience, his time playing for the Karma Effect and landing an album at number 19 on the UK album charts, what his current pad routine looks like, and how he approaches his practice routine, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you're listening. The video version is available on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy. Ash Powell, welcome to the podcast.
Hey man, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Ash, thanks for taking the time. I'm very well myself. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just sort of winding down from a busy weekend of shows and gearing up for next weekend now. I kind of have a few days off in the middle of the week and then get ready to go out again. But yeah, it's good, man. Off the back of a busy summer. So yeah, it's good, man. Feeling good.
Has that been with Luke Combs tribute?
Yes, so with the Luke Combs Experience, doing
that's right.
Lots of festivals, lots of gigs, lots of here, there, and everywhere traveling. So, but it's good fun, man. It's good fun.
Dude, amazing. So, what? Tell me about kind of recently what kind of touring you've been doing, or where what were the places you went?
So the band does like headline shows all year round, basically. So sort of Friday, Saturday nights, it does headline shows in 300, 400, 500 cap club venues, your O2 academies, those sort of things. So we're doing that most of the time. And then during the summer, we were really fortunate to be part of a touring festival called Summer in Nashville, which basically just takes the same artists around the UK and sets up festivals every Sunday. So we were really fortunate to be part of that. And that kept us busy on Sundays throughout the summer, which was nice.
Sweet. So what kind of cities were you going to?
Where did we go? We went everywhere really. We did everywhere from Chichester to they did one in Dundee. We didn't actually do the Dundee one because that is far. I'm in South London. We're all kind of based down here. That didn't work out logistically for us from the gig we were on the Saturday, but yeah, they did your Cambridge, St Albans, Stoke-on-Trent, Manchester, all those places. Guildford was kind of our local one for us. We have a lot of family around that area, the guys. So Guildford was cool because it was we managed to kind of get a lot of people down for that, and they got to see what we do when we disappear for the weekends.
Oh, amazing, man. Amazing. And obviously, Luke Combs being such a huge artist, I guess it's pretty, him, Morgan Wallen and all the others, I feel like have kind of inspired the country scene in the UK, if that makes sense. So it's pretty crazy how in the last years, it seems like the country thing has just exploded. In the UK, and especially with the tribute scene being built up and generally country music just being received so much more in the UK. Because has that been a thing for many, many years, or is that genuinely just something that happened in the last few years?
I do think it's massively blown up in the last couple of years. You've got those authentic country artists like your Luke Combs, your Morgan Wallen, and Zach Bryan's another one who's just out of nowhere become huge. But I think it also has been helped by the fact that you've got other artists, so your Post Malone, your Beyonce, who aren't traditional country artists, dipping their toe into writing that sort of music. And it's just become a global phenomenon. I went to see Post Malone a couple of weeks ago, and I think it wasn't really all the country stuff. It was a bit of a mix, but everyone there, you could tell everyone there had probably become a Post Malone fan in the last 18 months since he released his country stuff. Well, I'd say like a good 60-70% of people there were there for the country stuff. But yeah, I think it's huge over here at the moment, and we are certainly riding a massive wave of popularity. The shows are great. We turn up to a city. We did Edinburgh on Saturday, for example, and you're turning up and you've got 400 people there who are just avid country music fans, and they come up to you at the end of the gig and they go, "Oh, that was amazing. That was really good. I love Luke Combs." And you think, God, like the global reach of this genre is so big now.
Yeah, man, it's amazing, amazing. And so, how did you get into the Luke Combs experience? How did that come about?
It's a bit of a funny story, really. I have loved Luke Combs for a long time. My partner, I have to credit my fiance Charlie. She got me into Luke Combs about 4 years ago. Played me "When It Rains It Pours," which is like one of his biggest songs, and I just immediately was like, I love this genre, this vibe. So I got like really into the music, and around earlier this year, well, actually, I suppose it started probably around this time last year. I was kind of in between touring with my original band at the time. I was looking to do more depth stuff, so I actually pinged the guys, the Luke Combs Experience, a message and said, if you ever need a dep for any shows, I'd be more than happy to fill in. I know the music. I've got a strong knowledge of it. Would love to do it. And then it kind of went quiet. They went, "Oh yeah, that's great, thank you. We'll keep you on file." And then around May time this year, I was transitioning out of my originals band, and the timing is crazy. Like you couldn't write it. It really. I left my band. I can't remember what day it was, but say for example, it was a Tuesday. I left my band on the Tuesday. I had a message on the Wednesday from the guys in the Luke Combs Experience saying, "An opportunity has arisen for a full-time position. Are you interested?" And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, that's a bit wild, but yeah, it was quite literally the definition of one door closes, another one opens straight away. It was crazy, the timing. So yeah, it was a bit of a chance thing, but I suppose not a chance thing because I reached out initially and whatnot. So yeah, I think that would be
Yeah,
the way it came about.
crazy, man. But that's amazing timing because, as you say, writing that initial message and then it going quiet, and then it's like you write that message, but what are the odds that they'll actually be like, okay, cool, because this guy's DM'd us, we're gonna call him for a dep gig, but then for it to literally open up literally the day after you leave
Yeah,
the other band, it's just like that is crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing.
It was a bit wild, the timing. It kind of caught me off guard, and obviously it's a big decision because one of the reasons I left my originals band was, it was a lot of touring and a lot of time, and I was like, okay, there's going to be no transition period here for me to just chill out for a minute. I'm going straight from one thing into another. Um, but it worked out really well. And when those opportunities come up, you have to take them, don't you?
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, obviously with Luke Combs being so popular, as you said, you guys are playing. Is it literally like every weekend?
Yeah, we have one full weekend off a month. So throughout the summer, we didn't because we were doing summer in Nashville. We were like, okay, let's just fill up the weekends. Summer is peak time
Hmm.
for festivals, headline shows, that sort of thing. So throughout June, July, August, we didn't really have many weekends off. Um, but then now we have one weekend off a month, and the rest of the time is out sort of Friday to Sunday nights, basically. Yeah.
Sick, man. Amazing, amazing. And then so like during the week, what is your kind of routine? I know you teach as well. What's the routine Monday to Thursday?
Yeah, it's that, mate. It's teaching. It's
Okay.
I have my own private studio about half an hour away from where I live. Um, I'm fortunate that it's kind of tied to a shop in the area that I grew up, and I kind of just rent the studio off of them for basically the evenings, Monday to Thursday. I teach there. I've been doing that for God, pushing 8 years now. As soon as I sort of left university, I just went straight in and started teaching, and it's taken a good few years to build up the sort of calendar and the timetable of filling every slot. But it's great. I love it. It's so rewarding. Teaching is so rewarding, and yeah, I'm very fortunate to do it.
Hmm. And that, because I read that you had, when students come and take their grades, obviously you have the grades in the
Yeah,
UK, that you have like 100% pass rate if they're studying for the grades.
yeah,
How do the grades work? Maybe kind of talk about that for people who don't
yeah.
quite.
So
Yeah.
over in the UK, I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but over in the UK, we have a couple of different exam boards. You've got Trinity and Rock School are kind of the main two, and then you have your more classical, like traditional ones, so ABRSM. Um, and I kind of I never push my students into doing grades because I didn't do them myself,
Hmm.
and it's always a thing that if they want to, then I'm more than happy for them to progress through the grades. I do like the Trinity Rock and Pop syllabus because it's that physical progression. You know, you're seeing, okay, I'm a grade 4, I'm a grade 5, I'm this. Okay, we have to do stuff alongside that. You can't just do that. Um, but yeah, I really enjoy teaching those, and the way it works now since COVID is I think it's much better because you're able to film the exams now rather than putting the pressure on and going into an exam center where you only get one opportunity to do it really well. They have the digital submissions now, for Trinity at least, I know, and you can do it at the teaching studio on a drum kit you're familiar with, and you can film it as many times as you like until you're happy with it. So yeah,
Hmm.
there's not as much pressure, but I always say to my students, it's not going to be perfect because you have to film your pieces one after the other. So there's no don't put too much pressure on it. But yeah, I'm very what's the word? Thankful, grateful that I've got a lot of very very good students who put a lot of practice in. Got it's half an hour lesson a week isn't enough, to progress through the grades. It's the amount of time they put in outside of the lesson as well. So yeah,
Yeah. And so, but if you didn't do the grades yourself or you didn't study them, did you have to kind of brush up on them around the time that you started taking students and you realized, oh, people actually want to take this? Is that something you kind of you had to look into the books and go through it all? Or how
yeah,
did you do
yeah,
that?
man. My sight reading was not at a good level. I'll be honest. Like
Hmm.
I've never been one that's been big into reading charts. It was only when I was down at BIM in Brighton that I kind of first dipped my toe into charts because you have to because it's one of the modules, and yeah, I had a couple of students come in and don't get me wrong, the grade 1, the grade 2 pieces, I at the start I could get through them, I could teach them easily. But yeah, there was a part of me that would go, okay, I need to have a look at grade 7. We're doing Rope by Foo Fighters and Toxicity by System of a Down and all of those sort of pieces. And while I know the songs, I've listened to Foo Fighters and System for years. I know how to play the songs, but I don't know what it looks like on the piece of paper. So for me, that was a big thing. Brushing up on my sight reading was massive, um, but I feel like it's improved me as a player and my ability to do that massively. You know, when I get called for a gig now, my first thing is pull up a chart for the song. And I would
Nice.
never have done that. Never have done that. I would have just done it by ear. And then if there was any issue, I probably would have maybe watched a YouTube cover of it or something like that. I was always a
Hmm.
very visible learner. But now that actual reading ability is something that I've kind of taken into my own playing. So that's cool.
Yeah, because it seems like you're doing quite a lot of different gigs and styles of
Mm.
music and stuff. I mean, I saw on your Instagram everything from like there was a Dave Grohl thing you did,
Yeah, yeah,
at Dire Straits. You do like a classic rock revival show,
yeah.
where you're also a musical director, from what I understand.
Hmm.
Um, what else? Yeah, I mean, obviously
Lots of different things. Lots of different things.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so it seems like and you said on the Dave Grohl post that like it was very very last minute, and
yeah.
you had to go in and just, so obviously it seems like something like chart reading would be extremely beneficial to just be like, okay, I don't know how much time you had to prepare for that specifically, but to
That was
prepare
a
for
day.
stuff last minute, it's
I got the
okay.
call for that the day before. So
Wow. Okay.
the guys, that was only a one-off thing, but that was,
Okay.
I think I'm going to say that was probably the most fun I've had on a gig in my
I
entire life.
bet.
I was probably the sweatiest I've ever been on a gig in my entire life
Yeah.
because, you're replicating Grohl and Taylor Hawkins. It's just like
Man.
the energy, and it was 2.5 hours straight through, no break. It was just relentless.
Jeez.
But yeah, like
That's crazy.
I got the call for that the day before. The guys were in a pickle. I'd never met them before, and they got like we got in. I got in contact, or they got in contact, and it just happened. And the guy sent the set list over. And it was like 29 songs, something like that. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm a massive Nirvana and Foo Fighters fan, so a lot of them I had already had a pre-existing knowledge of. But it's that classic thing, isn't it? Of I know the song, but I don't know the parts. I don't know the exact fills that are being played in here, and it's a tribute show, so you've got to get it right. People are going there to hear the songs played, not like to the record, but as close as you possibly can. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. That gig. That was yeah. But then there were other songs on that gig that I'd never played before. Like they do songs by them Crooked Vultures, which is obviously
Sick.
the super group
Amazing,
that
yeah.
Grohl was in with the other guys, and they do a song New Fang. Don't know if you know that song, New Fang.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's got that really weird bar of 7 in it halfway through, and it just
Right.
changes. And I think when I got my Spotify Wrapped, actually Apple Music Replay, I don't use Spotify. I'm one of them. So I think that was my like number 2 most listened to song last year, and
Okay.
that was just because in that entire day I listened to it non-stop. I must have listened to it about 20 times in that day.
Okay.
Just
Wow.
and that's kind of how I do those gigs. Basically, the Dire Straits one as well. That was an amazing show because I knew the guys who run that show. Dave, who runs Dire Straits UK. He also runs a production company who used to do the production and sound for the Classic Rock Revival show.
Right.
So we already knew them, and he got in touch, and their drummer was away having a baby, so they needed filling for a couple of weekends. But again, it was relatively last minute. I probably had about 2 weeks to prepare for that, and usually 2 weeks is a luxury. Like 2 weeks would be fine, but when you've got to learn I don't know how much of a Dire Straits fan you are,
Yeah.
but when you've got to learn Telegraph Road, which is 14 minutes long, and the whole of the Brothers in Arms album, because it's the anniversary tour of that, you'd sit there and you go, I'm never going to get this. But it does, it just all comes together. And that's my thing, is I just kind of, I don't know how you would explain it other than simply obsess over that artist and those songs for the amount of time that I've got.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, you nailed from the clip I saw of Money for Nothing. You freaking absolutely, it was impeccable. The intro, I was like,
Yeah, that was kind of all improvised a little bit because I don't know if you saw, but in the background they have strobe lights going. I don't know if you saw that on the thing,
okay.
and
Yeah.
they've programmed it so it lines up with the original thing, the timing of the original dum dum that little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And I just said to Dave, I was like, look, I haven't been able to get, like, there's a chance that the timing of that bit, it's not going to sync up perfectly. I was like, he just said, do your own thing. It's like, as long as you finish at the right time, we had the click going for when it was due to finish and the guitar intro starts. He just said, do what you want, mate, just improvise. And that just immediately puts you at ease, and you're able to play, like you saw in that clip, you're able to just get into it.
Mm. Yeah. But then for the going back to the Grohl thing, I'm really curious. So obviously it being like a day and you having listened for like a whole day to New Fang or whatever, did you actually have time to sit at the kit, or like how much time did you have to sit at the kit and check the parts?
Yeah, so it was a Friday night, and I don't teach on a Friday because usually I'm out gigging on a Friday night. So I basically went into my studio and sat at a kit for 6 hours. I would say probably about 5 or 6 hours, just rattling through the songs. Even the songs that I knew and have known for years, I just sat there and I went, okay, I'm just going to play through these over and over and over and over and over again. And it was great. It was such a rewarding gig to do. And the guys in that band are great. If you ever get a chance to see them, the band is called The Best of Grohl. And it's a real, like, it's not this big polished theatre production that a lot of tribute shows are now. It's quite similar to the Luke Combs show that I'm in, where it's like it does the club scene, and it's all sweaty and like it's almost like a bit of a punk show. It was wicked. It was really, really fun. But yeah, I fortunately I did manage to sit at the kit and smash through the songs.
Yeah.
I must have burnt about 8,000 calories that day, mate. I'm not joking.
I bet. How did your hands feel after the gig, after doing 2.5 hours of just ripping through Dave Grohl?
From what I can remember, do you know what? Funny enough, I think it was about a year ago, almost to the day. Today, it might be start of October. I seem to remember being more exhausted than anything. I think my hands were fine. I think I had two feelings. I'm exhausted, and I hope my gear isn't broken, basically. I hope I haven't cracked any cymbals, because I was you've seen the clips. I was proper leathering the drums in that, and those are. But I don't remember my hands being in too bad of a condition.
Okay, man, that's crazy workout though, man, crazy.
Yeah.
But then, because you've done, coming back to like the reading thing, you've done like theater shows, is that right?
Not necessarily like your traditional sort of pit musician theatre shows. I've never done that sort of thing. It's mainly the Dire Straits show is a theatre show.
Right. Okay.
And like Classic Rock Revival is a theatre show, and I've done a Tom Petty tribute show that's in theatres. Right. So it's not your traditional West End sort of theatre show thing. But but yeah, that's something that I would potentially dip my toe into though.
Okay. But have you done something where like you've had to like read on the gig, or has it been more like using charts for preparing for the gig, and then on the gig you can just?
Yeah, it's the latter. It's more using the charts. So like the Dire Straits gig, for example, I used the charts. Telegraph Road, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to learn this by ear. I've got to have the chart in front of me. And when I was learning it, I was doing it all by reading it. And then it just, I always feel like that. Not saying I have a photographic memory by any means. I certainly do not. But I do find that if I do that, when I get on the gig and I'm hearing the songs and I'm playing the parts, I can almost see where I would be on the chart, if that makes sense.
Right.
And on that gig, I did have a couple of the charts on an iPad just to my left, just for reference, just in case. But luckily, I didn't really need to use them. But it's more of that sort of fail-safe option.
Okay. And so take me back to, because obviously you were in the Karma Effect, and you guys had an album, was it number 19 or number 16 on the UK album charts?
It was, number 19. Yeah.
Number 19, yeah. Yeah, man, that's sick. Congratulations, man. That's
thank you.
Yeah. But what? Talk to me a little bit about like the Karma Effect, or how you got into that band. Were you in there from the inception, or did you kind of? Because I think you were there from more or less the beginning, right?
Yeah. I was
right.
from the get-go. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
The inception of that band was a little bit unorthodox, really, because it was born out of the pandemic. It was born out of sitting at home and thinking, need to be doing something creative. And Henry, the singer and guitarist in that band, me and him have been best friends since we were 11, 12, since the start of secondary school. And me and him, we've always done sort of music together in one way or another. And we were doing classic rock revival at that time, doing the tribute stuff. But he's very much a creative. He's a songwriter. He's a creative musician, and doing the tribute thing is great. But I could tell that he was itching to write more music. And we'd done other projects in the past, and they'd kind of faded into the background and whatnot. And then he phoned me during lockdown and went, I've got some ideas for some music. I don't know what it's going to be. It could be a band. It could just be my solo thing. I don't know. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, mate, just send them over. Send over the demos. And he sent over 3 demos. And it had that sort of like rootsy, Black Crowes, bit of Zeppelin, bit Stones, a bit sort of Aerosmith, that sort of vibe. And I just immediately was like, it sounds like these bands, but it sounds fresh as well. So I was like, mate, count me in. Let's do it. Let's, it's lockdown. We've got nothing else on, so let's do it. So we got together a little bit like what we're doing now on video, and he has a home studio, and we would kind of write these demos together over Zoom and whatnot. And then it was originally going to be his solo project. It was going to be Henry Gatelier and the Karma Effect. And there were 2 reasons why that didn't happen, because no one can pronounce his surname. And secondly, when we got together, when we were able to, it felt more like it needed to just be a band. We all worked together in that sort of equal split of like, everyone's a creative here. It's not just one person's vision. And it just felt right being in that band environment. And it was great. So yeah, we do that kind of in between the lockdowns and when you could get together outside. So there's photos and videos of us setting up and playing in his garden, because we couldn't do it inside. So we all separated, 6 meters apart or whatever it was, and ran extension leads out from the house and whatnot, and just played in the garden and hoped that it didn't rain, basically.
Wow. Okay.
And then it just kind of carried on from that, mate, really. Like we did our first gig at the end of the lockdown in June 2021. And that was strange, because that was still a socially distanced gig. So it was sold out, but there was only 80 people there, because they all had to be like a certain, and like they were all sat down, everyone was sat down, and we kind of came out on stage and immediately went, right, everyone get up, come on, let's have a party. And the promoters were like, no, you can't, everyone has to sit down. But you're just like, it's that first time we've been on stage in God knows how many months, and you kind of want the energy from the crowd, and it just didn't. Everyone was sitting there like, yeah, this is great, but we can't do anything, we can't move, we can't dance,
Dude,
but it was great. It's a good story to tell, man. It's a great story. It just kind of snowballed from there, really, man. Like, record deal, signed to Earache Records in 2023, which was epic. I love Earache. I've got a bit of a soft spot for heavy music. So Earache Records, with the artists that they've had on their roster over the years, was a big deal for us to sign to. And those guys were great with the promotion of Promised Land, which was our second release, our first label release. They were great with that. So, I'm very, 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 very grateful for them, for our management, TMR management, shout out Peter, and the guys in the band. I'm obviously not doing it anymore, but the time that I had in that band was so special, and I loved it. And I've got a plaque on the wall of my house, set sort of celebrating the number 19 chart placement. And every time I walk past it, I go, do you know what? That's sick. Like, it just is. It's such a, and that will be there forever, whether I'm in the band or not. That won't ever not be there. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, amazing, man. So maybe talk a bit about the recording process of Promised Land, and kind of how long was the writing process? How did the recording look like, or how long was the recording process?
Yeah, so I would say in total, from inception of the writing to completing the recording process, was probably about a year. probably about a year. It was like 2022. Yeah, like May, June 2022 was when we first started floating around ideas for a new record. We released the debut album in March 2022. But to be honest, we kind of put that out. That was all self-funded and self-recorded and everything. And it sounded great. But we put that out as a body of work to just get our name out there. Be like, okay, here's an album. Here's something for everyone to listen to. And then, yeah, sort of from May 2022, June 2022 to about the same time in 23 was when we finished the recording. And the writing process was very different for that album because the first album was written exactly like what we're doing here. It was written over Zoom, during lockdowns and whatnot. We were getting together and doing these ideas on a laptop, basically, and then going in and recording it when we could. But the second album was much more organic and natural, and just getting in a room and flinging around ideas and going, okay, let's try this, let's try that. And that's the way it should be done, right? Not should be done, but that's the way it's always been done. And I think that really showed on the record. We kind of locked ourselves away. We had a couple of weekends where we'd go and we'd stay in a different place and just set up everything and just play from Friday to Sunday and just live together and play and write the album and just mess around basically and see what sticks. And that was great. And then we started the recording at the start of 23. We recorded that at a studio around the corner from us called The Hive. Don't know if you know it, but it's a great rehearsal studio, and they've got an incredible recording studio there. The guys that run that place are amazing. Yeah, we recorded the drums there because that was probably the one thing on the debut record we weren't overly 100% happy with, was the drum sound. So we pumped a lot of money and time into getting the drum sound right, which was great for me because, that's what I do. And yeah, it was really cool. And then we recorded the rest of it. That probably took about 2 weeks to do that. No, actually that's a lie. It was probably in total about 5 days worth of tracking.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we recorded the rest of it with Mikey, who's the producer for the last 3 records. He's just produced their new album as well.
Nice. Was that? I think there's a clip of that on your Instagram with the Gretsch kit.
Yes.
Yes, dude. That yeah, because that drum sound was nice. And I assume at the time you were using Zildjian's Ks.
Yeah. So it's it's a Gretsch Broadcaster with all Zildjian Ks and everything. Nice. Just nice and warm and punchy. And I have a big thing about big cymbals. Like, the bigger the cymbal, the better. Like I don't think I've got a crash or a ride bit smaller than 20 inches on my kit at the moment.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I'm just about to upgrade to a 24-inch ride as well. I've got 22 at the moment, but I've literally cracked it about a week ago. I spotted it. It's the 22K light ride, and it's amazing. I got it secondhand off of a friend of mine, and as soon as I played it, I was like, oh my god, this is just the perfect cymbal. It's washy, it's got a little bit of ping, the bell cuts through nicely. And I was setting up in soundcheck last week, and I went, oh no, don't. I thought it was just the way the light was hitting the drum, hitting the cymbal, and I felt it, and I was just like, oh no! And it's round the bell as well, so it's not even like a little crack on the outside. It's round the bell, so
yeah. Oh shoot, man, painful.
Yeah.
But you got good taste though, man. Zildjian K, that's what I use as well. I've been a big Zildjian fan for many years. Yeah.
They were honestly, they were the first cymbals that were ever bought for me when I first started. They were, my parents, excuse me, my parents bought the ZBT range, the classic sort of like early Zildjian stuff, and I've never drifted away from them since then. Genuinely, never drifted away. I've just kind of gradually progressed through the ranges. ZBT, the A custom series, and now I'm on the K customs, and it's it's or the K custom sort of hybrid setup really that I've got, and it's great. They're just so, I don't know. I can't even find the word to describe them. They're just so well made, and they sound brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, so reliable, man. They're like,
Yeah.
because when I got the I kind of graduated from the A custom to the Ks, and when I first kind of had my K setup, I think the day after I bought, because I had the hats, I had the ride, I had a crash, and then one of my crashes was still an A, and obviously the A has like the higher frequency. So I was playing a gig, and it was the day I bought, like, I think one of the K paper thin crashes. And then I kind of realized on the gig, I was like, the Ks almost sound like they're just like naturally EQ'd, like they're just perfect frequency. They're nothing's too like high frequency. Nothing. It's almost like they're just perfect. They're super smooth. And then the A was just, in comparison, obviously, was more like had the.
It just has that shiny sound to it, doesn't it? It's that.
Yeah, not that it's bad, but
No.
it's kind of like, in comparison to the Ks, it's not. It's not as clean. So then I was like, I can't really be having this, and my OCD kicked in. And the next day, I went and spent money on another paper thin crash. And then I was like, now I've just got all Ks, and it was like perfect. And since then, I've been using only those, and it's
Oh mate, I can relate with the OCD thing. Like, it's just I have all my cymbals have to be from the same range. It's such a it just must be a drummer thing, mate. It's just I can't look at a bird's eye view of my kit and see different logos and different prints and stuff. I just can't do it. But yeah, like, I love the Ks because they have that warm, especially the bigger cymbals that I like. They just have that warm, dark tone. But they also, especially the crashes, they just get out of the way quickly. When you're on a gig and you're playing those smaller club venues, you want something that's going to just hit and just gets out of the way. So for those sort of country pop gigs, and I do a lot of like weddings as well. So I play like in a sort of soul Motown band when I can. And they're great for that because they fit the kind of style of the music. They're not overpowering, and you hit them and they just disappear.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also the thing of like with the OCD of when you put a new head on.
Yes.
I don't understand people who don't line it up with the logo.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
It's gotta be
people that do that. I don't trust people that do that. I don't trust them.
Same, man. Same. Yeah. That's weird behavior to me. I just don't understand.
I think I was doing it on that summer in Nashville. They had like a house kit for the majority of the festival, which was great because changeovers are nice and slick. And after about 4 or 5 shows, I think they changed the heads on the toms, and they did that. They didn't line the heads up with the logos and whatnot. And you just go, okay, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it. It's fine. It's all right. It's not my kit. You just kind of But it's but yeah, I completely relate. It must be a drummer thing, mate. It just must be, because I've listened to a lot of other podcasts and a lot of other drummers speak about it, and yeah, it's when it's. I had a laughing joke with my old drum tech, Craig, who was my tech during the Karma Effect days. And it got to the point where he would bring a spirit level to the gigs to make sure that all of the drums and the toms were lined up. Like the floor tom was sitting at the right height and it wasn't angled or anything like that. And I'm just like, God, could you imagine what the guitarists probably think about me right now, sitting there with a spirit level, making sure that the floor tom's not angled or anything like that. It's just ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
But it works and it keeps me happy.
Hey,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always ask on this podcast about practice and rudiments. Are you a rudiments kind of guy? Do you spend time on the pad?
Yes, mate, I do, absolutely. Probably not as much as I should, because a lot of my time is spent traveling, playing in shows, and teaching as well. So it's something that I find that I have to kind of dedicate a lot, like actually a lot of time to. I have to schedule in practice, whether it's on a kit or on a pad. Excuse me. But yeah, when I can, I always try and get on a pad, and especially before a gig, I always like to do 10 minutes on a pad before a gig, just to get the hands feeling loose. I actually haven't done it the last few weeks. It's a bit strange. I haven't taken my pad with me, and it doesn't feel any different when I play the gigs. That's probably not the right thing to say. You know, it kind of goes against the norms of the thing. But I haven't been warming up, and it doesn't feel any different. Not that I feel any better, but I'm not noticing that my hands are stiff or anything. So, but I think it's just good practice too. And I'd be a bit of a hypocrite if I'm telling my students to sit at a pad for 10 minutes a day and then not doing it myself. So, yeah.
So are you using the reflex pad? Is that
Yes.
still the go-to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
the original reflex pad as well before the Zildjian purchase.
Yeah.
So it's the original reflex pad, and it's great. It's got the sort of practice pad side and the conditioning pad side. So that is like a real burner. When you're on that conditioning side, it's a real burner. But yeah, I love it. It has been, obviously not the last couple of weeks, but it's been all over the country and all over the world with me. I took it to Canada in the summer. We did a little festival over in Canada, which was cool, with the Luke Combs tribute. And my hands, I knew that we had 5 days there before the festival, so I didn't have any chance to play on a kit before the festival. So I was like, okay, I'm going to need to do something. So I was, sitting in the hotel room practicing. But I love it. I love the reflex pad. It's great. So, yes.
And so what kind of stuff do you like to do on the pad, or what kind of stuff have you worked on, in the most recent time on the pad?
Good question. I like to sort of strip it back to basics to begin with, just sort of honestly just like single hand singles, just right, just continuously doing that, whether it's about like 16th notes or whatever, and alternating with the hands, just as a little warm up, just to get the hands feeling a little bit looser. And then, it's just your standard rudiments, honestly, singles, paradiddles, all that sort of stuff. I'm massively into triplet feel rudiments. I love the triplet feel rudiments. So your double paradiddle, 6-stroke rolls, all that sort of stuff, flam accent, that sort of thing. I love those triplet feel rudiments. And because that's what I try and implement a little bit into my playing. I always think, how can I throw some of this in, a little bit of spice into the songs, and that's what, rather than doing full 30-second notes, I always think 16th note triplets just sound that little bit cleaner when you're doing fills. So it's just a little thing. I love doing that. What am I doing at the moment? I kind of have realised that my right hand is whilst it's my dominant hand on the kit, I'm actually left-handed. So I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed. And I've kind of clocked that maybe my right hand isn't as strong as it possibly could be. So I'm basically just working on that, just really, really, really hammering my right hand, getting not necessarily speed, but just control and technique. Kind of have glossed over technique a little bit, especially with in recent times. You kind of get into your habits of teaching and playing, and all of a sudden you're picking up bad habits. So just that mainly, mate. Yeah. How about yourself?
Dude, my number one, I spend a lot of time on the pad, but my number one thing has always been, and I always say this, and if you've checked out my Instagram at any point whatsoever, you will know this, and anybody who knows me for 5 minutes will know this. Stick control is my go-to.
Oh, it's like the Bible, isn't it, mate? Yeah.
That's, to me, dude, that is the life-changing book. People will look at me weird when I talk about stick control, because I'm so passionate about stick control. People are like, what do you do? This is dry as hell. What do you how are you this obsessed with it? But I had a gig recently, and it was a gig with the marching band, and we were somewhere in like in a tent, and it was like 10 people, and I always bring stick control with me. Like I don't leave the house without it, even if I don't think I'm gonna, even if I'm not necessarily planning on, going to practice or whatever. I still always have it with me just in case, and a pair of sticks just in case, I at some point managed to break out 5 to 10 minutes on the pad. But at this gig, um, we were waiting to basically be called to do this gig, and we were in this tent. Everybody else goes and sits down and chills, or goes and grabs a coffee or whatever. And I pulled out stick control, and I didn't even have my practice pad with me. I just took my hoodie, folded it up, put it on the table. And one of the other guys, who's an amazing drummer, and he's like, he's a real like technique guy and whatever. He looked at me and he was like, "You're not actually about to go through stick control." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, so you're literally going to do 20 times each line right now, just like before a marching band gig. I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, and he looked at me and he was sitting on the couch next to the table where I was doing it. And I was just like, 1, 2, 3. And I was just literally like the whole thing. And then the others would like, go out, come in gradually. And like, they'd come in and they'd notice, they'd be like, "Dude, are you really doing this right now?"
That's
and
hilarious,
it's like,
man.
You guys are drummers. The fact that you guys are giving me weird looks is already like, you guys should get this, if anything. But that's how obsessive I am about stick control. I love that thing. It's
Mate, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a brilliant book, and there's a reason that it came out so long ago and it's still so relevant today. It's a fantastic book, and
game changer.
I think I need to. I've worked through it myself, but it's something that I need to maybe implement into my teaching a little bit more as well. I think it's that thing, like when you're teaching kids, you don't want to be like, right, here's a book and you're going to play the same line 20 times. And it's, but there are a few students who, when I think about it, I'm like, actually, they would really benefit from that. And it's there's nothing, absolutely no shame in being obsessed with stick control. So
yeah, it's the joke's on everybody else, because
exactly.
You guys are not, I don't know how much you guys are doing on the practice pad, but if I do stick control consistently, I know my hands are just always going to be smooth as butter, and
exactly, it's almost becomes a routine thing, and like the second you break that, although you might not, technically you're still going to be a fantastic player. But it sets something in motion in your head. Okay, maybe this gig isn't going to go as smooth as I want it to because I haven't done my routine.
Yeah. Like when I've been out on tour, like last year we did 6+ months with the Elton tribute in the US, and literally every day on tour, I found time, even if I only had, because you know how it is on tour. Maybe you have a long drive, and you get there and you just about manage to do sound check, and then maybe the sound check started late, so then you literally have only time to get changed and have a quick snack and maybe take a leak before the gig. Sometimes you genuinely don't, like barely have time to actually warm up. So then even if it was only like 10-15 minutes in the morning before getting in the car, or between the sound check and the gig, if I've only got 10, if I don't have the half an hour to do the 20 lines, each time or whatever, I'd still do stick control. And I'd make it my routine. I'd say I committed before going on tour, right? I'm going to do this every day. And even if I'm not going to use the thing as an excuse of like, oh, today I only have 5 to 10 minutes. So it's not even worth doing it anyway. It's like, I always manage to, and if I don't do each line 20 times because I genuinely don't have the time, maybe I'll just put it down to 10 or even 5 times each. Just, run through the page. And
I love that, mate. I love that. That's the attitude you've got to have. It's about doing something every day. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're doing something. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But so let's talk a little bit. We're talking about stick control.
I love it, mate. I love it.
I could sit here for this is what I mean. I could sit here for 3 hours talking about stick control, and people look at me like I'm insane. But let's go back to you. So for you, with practice, I mean, I guess with playing a lot, practice maybe becomes more limited. But maybe in a time in your life where you were practicing a lot, how I always find it interesting to ask people, how do they go about structuring their practice time? So for you, have you been somebody who's kept a log of your practice, or were you more or less, I don't know, maybe more of a creative practicer? Whereas I know some people who sit down, they kind of start playing, and if something doesn't quite come out clean, they'll go back and check that out. Or, how people have different approaches. How do you approach practice?
That's a great question, mate. And in answer to your question, I have written practice journals. I've done that a couple of times, but I'm one of these where I'll forget one day. I'll practice and I won't write it down, and then I just, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm a little bit of, if I don't do it day after day after day, it just falls by the wayside. Which again isn't the right example to set to students. I know that, but I would say I'm more of a creative practicer. I always try and get in a little bit of something. I always try and get to my studio half an hour early before my first lesson and just sit and play, whether it's on the pad or whether it's on the kit. And what does that look like? I mean, that kind of looks like starting with the basics. So if I'm on the kit, I'll always start by just playing along to a song, just generally just putting on a song that I'm kind of listening to at that time. So at the moment, it's predominantly country stuff, or quite big into like 90s hip hop sort of stuff, like your Tupac, your Notorious B.I.G., that sort of thing, where the drums are they're just loops. So it's that discipline of just playing the same thing over and over again. So that kind of gets me warmed up. So I'll maybe play along to a song or maybe two songs, and then I'll work on something, whether it's from a book or whether it's a song that I need to learn. I'll have that sort of 15 minutes of like focused practice. So what has it been recently? What was it recently? Oh, I'm working through the Jim Chapin book. Syncopation.
Oh, you mean Ted Reed, or is it a different book?
It's not the. Jim Chapin was the Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer.
Yeah. Okay.
They both got blue covers, so that's why I'm getting confused.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that like, it's bit of jazz, bit of swing sort of stuff, which is a genre that I've never really dipped my toe into before. But weirdly, I've had a few students saying, I'm really into like jazz stuff recently. So I'm like, okay, I need to get a bit of a basic understanding of what this is. So just basic stuff like that. And then, playing through songs that I need to learn. So Luke Combs, for example, he released 3 new songs at the weekend. And the plan is in the next few weeks to kind of start implementing that into the set. So it's playing through those, getting the structure, not necessarily writing them out, charting them out, but just listening for anything that's out of the ordinary. Country music's quite good in the sense that it kind of typically follows the same formula. But yeah, there's a couple of little hits there's a song that he's just released called My Kind of Saturday Night. And there's a bit where the chorus comes in on a push. So it's like, okay, I've got to make sure that the chorus, I get that push. And then the rest of the song is just landing on the downbeat. So it's just things like that, that focus practice. I'll always spend a little bit of time planning out my lessons as well. That kind of factors into my practice time, because as a teacher, I'm kind of like, and obviously you have to plan your lessons. But yeah, that would kind of be it. And then I kind of always finish off with playing along to another tune. I'm a big advocate for playing along to songs. That's how I learn. I never really took proper drum lessons when I was learning. I was majority, that's not a word. Majority of the time, self-taught by ear, just playing along to songs. And yeah, Massively into playing along to Steely Dan at the minute.
Oh, dude, yeah, I saw the clip you put up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
so good. They always had the best drummers. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I always think if I can get close to replicating the feel on a Steely Dan song, I'm probably doing something close to the right.
Yeah. For
So
sure, man.
yeah, so I'm quite big into that, and yeah, that would kind of be a rough sort of 20 to 30 minute practice session for me. I never really get the chance to go over that. I never have an opportunity to kind of sit at the kit for 2 hours a day because of teaching or gigging or anything. So
Yeah, yeah. Cool, man. Nice. And so who are your favorite drummers of all time?
great question. It's kind of changed over the years. I've gone through many phases of being obsessed with different types of drummers. So the first drummer I was truly obsessed with was Joey Jordison. And
Amazing.
that, yeah, so when did I start playing? In 2007 was when I started playing. So I was 12, 11, yeah, 2006, 2007. So I was about 11 years old. And that was obviously a little bit later in the Slipknot era. They were just releasing their fourth album. But I just remember being completely obsessed with Joey's playing on songs. And actually, it wasn't even the early songs. It was songs like Psychosocial, which is really groovy. It's just fall to the floor, really groovy. And I remember just sitting there going, whoa, like, that's groovy. And then you go back and you listen to the other stuff. And yeah, there's insane speed playing. But there's also that element of that nu metal feel and groove. So Joey was the first drummer I was really fully obsessed with, so much so that I got the Joey Jordison double bass drum kit as a kid. There's a photo of it somewhere. I'm going to have to dig it out. I've still got it. It's still at my parents' house. It's just covered in dust and cobwebs. So yeah, Joey, and then it became more sort of heavy funk players. So your Chad Smith. Chad Smith, I remember being completely obsessed with. Yeah, Chad Smith, Bonham, obviously. Although I listened to a lot of Zeppelin, but didn't really understand how good Bonham was. You know, I'm listening to the songs again, completely self-taught, doing it by ear, and I'm listening to Good Times, Bad Times, trying to replicate it and going, oh, this is really hard. Why can't I do this? And it's only as you get older you go, it's because the guy's a genius. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, people like Bonham. Who else was I big into? I really loved Avenged Sevenfold as a kid. So the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold was a huge inspiration for me, and I was like, my height of my Avenged Sevenfold obsessiveness was around the time that he passed away. So that led me on to Mike Portnoy, who ended up taking the gig after that. So that got me into Dream Theater. And although I'm not a massive Dream Theater fan, I'm a massive Mike Portnoy fan because the guy's obviously ludicrously good at the drums. So yeah, it's kind of developed. And then like around 10 years ago, I got mad into the sort of gospel thing. And yeah, Chris Coleman and Aaron Spears and, you know, those Eric Moore, those sort of drummers. And you're just tight groove playing with these just moments of madness, controlled madness though. Yeah, so I would say those guys have had a massive influence on my playing. But the goat for me is Picaro. It's just a goat.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Legend, man. Absolute hero.
Yeah, and not just. I mean, I love Toto. Absolutely love Toto. Saw them earlier this year, and it was incredible. And his playing on those earlier Toto records is amazing. But it's the stuff that he did, the session stuff. You know, your Boz Scaggs stuff, your Michael McDonald stuff, and the Michael Jackson. You know, one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs is "The Girl Is Mine," and it's it's a bit of a weird song if you listen to the lyrics, and it's probably a bit problematic these days. But if you listen to the drums, they're just so tasteful, and he's just sitting in the background, laying it down, and that's it. It's just incredible. He's an incredible player, very tasteful, and such a big inspiration. And such a shame that obviously he died so young.
Man, yeah, the guy was a freaking genius. Yeah, it's. I listened to Michael McDonald's his autobiography last year, and I don't know if you've read it or listened to it, but apparently the story goes that in obviously the legendary, I keep forgetting. The story goes that they came into the studio, set up whatever, they played a take, and then they came into the control room to listen to it, and everyone felt like that was magic, that was perfection. Like, first take, we nailed that. We don't need to do another take. And Jeff Porcaro was sitting there apparently being like, guys, I don't know, like, I think we need to do another take. I kind of my stick broke in the middle of the take. And do you know this? Do you know the story?
I actually don't. I've not heard the story. No.
And apparently his stick broke. And if you know it, you can hear where it is.
But really?
If you don't know it, it sounds intentional and it sounds like perfect. I mean, it sounds perfect even if you know it. But it's like,
so they end up keeping that tape where the stick broke.
They literally kept it. And they looked at him. They were like, "No, dude, we're not doing that again. That was it. That was it. That was magic." And they went back to that moment where he apparently said he'd flubbed it or whatever. And they went, "What are you talking about? It sounds perfect." And then they kept it in, and it's after maybe the. I'm trying to think what section in the song it is. But there's a moment where he does I think it's from maybe the second verse or second chorus into the next section. And he does there's a fill, like a cat. And there's a little hi-hat accent.
Okay.
That technically, according to Jeff Porcaro, isn't supposed to be there. But it's just it's where I think he did the fill, and maybe because I think he continued with the broken stick. I don't think he picked up another one, but
yeah, because
the stick broke, he obviously kind of got a little and then that fill, I guess technically wasn't what he meant to do.
Yeah.
It still sounds.
I love those.
He's a freaking genius.
That studio magic that you hear on those songs from the 70s and stuff. It's just it's what makes it. There's a bit in one of my Rosanna, iconic Toto tune, iconic groove, obviously. But there's a bit at the end of the song, I don't know if you've ever heard it, where they're doing the sort of outro guitar solo, and you just hear Steve Lukather just gives a massive, just goes woo like that, and it's only in the background. And if you listen, I think you could only probably hear it with headphones on, but they're obviously just all playing together, and whatever they're doing, he's just fallen in love with. And he just goes, whoa, like that. It's incredible. And I think those moments are what make those songs so good.
Yeah. Man, for sure. There's because it's human. It's those human moments. They haven't edited out every little flaw and quantized everything to the grid. It's like,
exactly.
There's that. Did you know that obviously Asia by Steely Dan, played by Steve Gadd, did you know that apparently that he did that in one take?
I did know that, yeah. I didn't know that. And it's just...
When I found that out, I was like, wait. I still don't know if I actually believe it, because that's so crazy. It is Steve Gadd, so if anybody could pull it off, it's Steve Gadd. But he sat down, read the thing. He had the chart. He read through it while playing it, and just that legendary drum solo.
Yeah, man. It's the two drum solos. There's the one earlier in the song, and then it goes for it again. It goes for it again, and you just think, oh man, save some for the rest of us, please.
Man, it's insane. How do you do that in one take?
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't say that Gadd has kind of influenced my personal playing. I'm a very different player to Gadd, but it's that level of appreciation, isn't it? When you see these guys play, even now, he's incredible player. And a friend of mine, or actually not a friend of mine, a student of mine, went to go and see James Taylor play a couple of years ago. and he was sort of at the back of Hammersmith Apollo, and he didn't really know the musicians on stage. Obviously, he knows James Taylor, and it was only at the end of the show that James Taylor introduced the band, and he went, "On drums, please give it up for Steve Gadd." And Paul, the student, he was like, "Oh my God, I've just watched arguably one of the greatest drummers of all time. Like in his 70s, just absolutely tear it up for 2 hours." And he's like, he said to me, he was like, I remember thinking during the gig that this drummer's really tight, really good. His feel is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, that's why. Because it's Gadd that you're watching. But yeah, great. We're very lucky that we have so many good inspirations on the drums now.
Yeah, for sure. And so, who are kind of some current inspirations, maybe from the Instagram drummer generation, or drummers that are current?
That's a really good question. I'll be honest. I kind of there's a guy who I don't really know him, but I kind of know of him through mutual people and friends and whatnot, and in the sort of UK circuit, a guy called Freddie Sheed, who plays with Lewis Capaldi, great player.
Oh, okay.
Did some stuff with 1975, basically stepped in for the 1975 a few years ago when their drummer broke his collarbone. Played with a band an artist called the Japanese House. Don't know if you've heard of them.
I don't think so.
Sort of like synth dream pop sort of vibe. It's really cool. But he's a very, very, very tasteful, Gadd-inspired player who I really just enjoy. I enjoy watching him on Instagram and playing, and his feel is incredible. And seeing the shows that he's doing now with Lewis is awesome. I also have a bit of a thing for watching worship drummers on Instagram. I love watching like US-based worship drummers, because they're playing these huge arena-sized churches, and the sounds that they get are just incredible. And it's that, again, quite similar to country, where it's all about serving the song. It's not about being flash. It's about making everyone else on stage sound good. And there's a real thing I have a real, appreciation for that. And I enjoy watching that. So there's a guy called Chris Garcia, who's a fantastic worship drummer. There's a guy called Abel Orta Jr. Don't know if you've heard of him. But I love his playing, but also his content on Instagram is just very different. The way he makes his videos and the way he kind of films them, and the angles and the color grading, etc. It's really aesthetically pleasing, makes it easier to watch, and he's a great player. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out those guys. So yeah, I would say those guys especially. Yeah, Freddie's great because he's more of an inspiration for the session stuff. That would be about it for me, mate.
Nice. Yeah, what I love about country drumming is the as you say, the more like play for the song.
I do also have to shout out Jake Summers, who is the Luke Combs drummer, who I'm basically replicating on a night by night basis. So he's a huge inspiration for me at the moment.
Of course,
and he's a lovely bloke. I've spoken to him a few times, and he's such a lovely guy. Okay. So yeah, shout out Jake.
Nice. Where did you meet him? How did you?
I've not met him, but I've spoken to him a few times on Instagram.
Nice.
Even before I took the Luke Combs gig, speaking to him and talking about the live shows and the gear he's using and whatnot, and just he's another one who's just serves the song. And also one thing I've realised from watching his videos, from studying him and his playing to do the Luke Combs gigs, he is on the money in terms of playing the parts to the songs. If you want to look at a drummer who replicates the record live to the note, I was flabbergasted by how on the money he is with that. So he's a lovely bloke, and he's exchanged. I've shared some videos of me playing the songs with him, and he's given me some pointers, and a lot of the time it's just, "Oh, sounds great, man. Keep doing what you're doing and whatnot." So yeah, he's a real lovely bloke, and obviously an inspiration. So yeah. Sorry,
are you playing? What's that? Sorry.
I was just going to say I cut you off from your sentence a minute ago.
No. You're good. You're good. Are you playing? Are you playing open handed like he does, or?
Do you know what? I'm not. But I am.
Yeah.
There are some things where I am. There are some moments where I am. So there's some fills that he does where you can only play them open handed. So
Okay.
off the top of my head, when it rains, it pours. The first verse of that, it has a little fill that goes round from the high top, from the rack tom to the snare to the floor tom, and whilst maintaining the hi hat. So yeah, I play that first verse open handed, so it's boom, da, doom, ga, doom, like that. You know, so I have to play that bit open handed, so it's just nice transition. But no, I don't trust my left hand as much, which is crazy given I am left-handed. I probably should do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah. Open-handed playing is a thing, man. I talked. Obviously, you know Greg Witt.
Yes.
Shout out. Yeah, he obviously had him on the podcast the other week, and we had a whole talk about like open-handed playing, and yeah, he was saying how he.
I've seen him. He does a little bit of that. He does a little bit of that in the shows that I've seen him play.
Yeah.
I think that I'm assuming that is. I've never actually spoken to him about it, but I'm assuming that is to replicate some of the parts that he's hearing on the songs. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I mean, he didn't mention anything like that. He just said that at some point I can't remember why he tried it, but I think he just had an instinct of like, working on.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I do it, and I'm like, oh, this feels really normal. This feels really natural. I could get used to this. And then I try and transition back to right hand out of it or something, and it's a bit crazy. But no, it's really cool. I'm really enjoying those shows and whatnot. So it's cool to be able to recreate Jake's parts live as well.
Yeah, amazing player, man, for sure. Yeah. Last but not least, let me ask you this: what are your favorite Luke Combs songs?
Actual to play or just songs in general?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Sorry, I'll put you on the spot there.
That's a good question. Well, maybe let's go first of all to play. What are your favorite songs to play?
I really love playing. There's a song called Forever After All, which is a sort of softer ballady type country song, but it's got a really nice one-handed 16th note groove. It's got that sort of Gadsden 16th note feel in it, and nice. I love playing that because you can just really sit in the click and the track and just vibe it, and the fills in that song are really tasteful. I play with do the classic country thing where I play with the stick, the upside down, play with the butt end of the stick. So you're just just big gushy drums, that sort of thing. So I love playing that song, but in terms of crowd reaction, I love playing Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a real, do you know that one?
I don't. Maybe if I hear it, I don't.
It was released like last year, and it's become like, it was for the Twisters movie, and it's become like a massive song of his.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's more like a rock song. It's more like a heavy country southern rock song, and it just we play it right at the end of the show, and it just gives me that freedom to just loosen up. And there's a cheeky bar of 3 in there as well, so you're playing heavy drums, but it keeps you on your toes because you've got to do that. So you've got to hit the downbeats on the bars of 3 and whatnot. So yeah, I love playing those two. But my favourite song of Luke's, it's actually one that we don't play. It's a song called Cold As You. I don't know if you know it.
Oh, dude, it's such a banger.
Yeah. It's a song.
Such a banger. Yeah.
And I've tried. The guys used to do it before I was in the band, and then they took it out. And I'm like, okay, we need to get this one back in because it's my favourite song of his.
Yeah.
Great drum parts on that. Like just simple 4 to the floor, just rocking. And so, yeah, that would be my favourite of his.
Nice. Okay.
How about you? What's your favourite? What's your favourite Luke Combs song? As a question for you.
I love. Ooh, there's a few. I mean, obviously, "Beer Never Broke My Heart" is a freaking classic. That's like the song that put me onto Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Like so many people, I'm sure. I love "South Anya." That's a great
Oh
song.
yeah, that's a massively
That's a freak.
underrated tune, man.
That's a freaking banger. I love some of the songs on the what was the album called from? Was it last year, the year before? With what are
The
the
sort of
songs?
the softer album.
Any given Friday night.
Oh yes, yeah,
With like this the album with like doing this on it and the kind of
yeah.
love
It
we
was
make
growing
and
up and getting old. I think it was called or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess it was the
the
first one
first
of
one. Yeah,
those two. I think. So
Any Given
yeah,
Friday Night is a great song.
any given Friday night is an amazing song. There's another one.
There's
I
one.
think
They've
it's a
got one
song
on that.
about it's about fishing. I think it's On the Other Line. Is that the
Yeah, great
song?
song. Yeah, it's got that
That's
sort
a
of. It's got a
freaking
bit of a
banger.
reggae feel to it. That one. It's a bit. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you asked me like what is my favorite song, like one song, maybe two, and I'm
yeah.
listing like 10 different Luke Combs songs. But yeah, the guy has so many bangers, man.
He does, man.
Yeah,
He does. And
a lot of
and
amazing
do you know?
songs.
Did you? I don't know if you saw, but yesterday he became the most successful country artist of all time, like officially.
Really?
Like sold the most
Wow.
amount of records of country. I think it was RIAA certified most successful global country
Wow.
artist ever.
Insane, man.
Like, which is just
Insane.
testament to him and the stuff that he's done. And like in the
Yeah.
space of what, about 5 years, 5 6 years.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, he hasn't really been that big for that long.
No,
Yeah.
so
Crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, I love how I said last off before, but let me ask you
yeah,
one
mate,
more question because
go for it.
I love country music. So when I have the opportunity to talk about it, I'll talk about it. What are your? Because obviously you said you generally listen to country. You're obviously playing in the Luke Combs tribute.
Mm.
You know that'll what's the word? That'll get anyone into country. But what are your other favorite country artists?
Good question, man. I do love Morgan Wallen.
Nice, yeah,
I love Morgan Wallen, but I love his more country band stuff. I'm not a massive fan of his electronic sort of trap beat country
right,
bro country stuff.
yeah,
I do like
same,
it, but I really like his sort of, especially on his new album. There's a lot of traditional full band country stuff. I love Chris Stapleton, obviously, but I'm massively into a country singer at the moment called Zach Top. Don't know if you've heard of him.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Again, it's it's more traditional country, sort of like George Strait, Alan Jackson, Brooks and Dunn, '90s country sort of stuff. So
yeah. Mm.
it's I do feel like country's going a little bit full circle in the sense of, you started with those guys. You've gone into your Luke Bryan and all of that, who are a bit bro country, pop country, Blake Shelton, Luke Combs, and then people like Chris Stapleton and Zach Top are bringing it back to that rootsy country, like traditional country stuff. I
Yeah.
love Post Malone's new album. I love all Post Malone. To be honest, I've been a massive Post Malone
Okay.
fan since day one. And the fact
Nice.
that he did a country album just kind of was the icing on the cake for me. Yeah, I would say those guys, really. Yeah,
Nice. Sweet.
yes.
Well, Ash, dude, we're at the end of the episode. Is there anything at this point that you want to kind of shout out? Anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up?
Not really. I mean, I would just want to say I suppose I should shout out the brands that I work with. So Protection Racket cases, shout out them. Those guys keep me on the road and my gear safe, which is massively important when you're doing 3 or 4 shows a week. And it's being loaded in and out of venues here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, shout out Protection Racket. Um, yeah, apart from that, it's just thanks for having me, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And yeah,
Dude,
hopefully we get to catch up again soon.
hopefully. I'm sure we'll bump into each other in person at some point. As we said before, the music industry is small, so
Yes,
I'm sure paths will cross eventually. Yeah, man.
wonderful stuff. Thank you, man.
Amazing. Ash, thank you so much for taking the time, man. Really appreciate it.
No worries, dude. Thanks for having me.
Give me money.